In this lesson, I want you to write quadratic equations in standard form. I want you to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Remember, the zero product property says if you multiply two things and they equal 0, then one of those things must be equal, or both of them could be 0. So what happens if we have a quadratic, we factor it, each factor could be 0. So in this problem, x plus 3 equals 0, which would mean x would be negative 3. X minus 5 equals 0, which means x would be 5. That would be your solutions. Now let's look at this backwards. Let's say I give you an equation with the answers. I want you to write the equation that would be that, and I want it written in standard form. So let's do this. We know x, let's work backwards. We know x is going to be 1/2, or x equals negative 5. Well, let's make it equal to 0. So subtract 1/2 on the left. So x minus 1/2 equals 0, or x plus 5 equals 0. Those are the things I'm going to multiply together. So I'm going to say, I'm going to take x minus 1/2 times x plus 5. We know that equals to 0. Let's multiply them together. So we get x squared plus 5x, minus 1/2x, so plus 4.5x, or plus 9/2 x. And then half of minus 5/2 equals 0. Well, I don't like all those fractions. Let's multiply the entire equation by 2. So we get 2x squared plus 9x minus 5 equals 0. And that will be the quadratic equation that has solutions of 1/2 and negative 5. Now let's apply what we've just learned there and solve a couple of quadratic equations by factoring. On example 2, notice there's no constant term, so we're just going to factor out the common term. So I'm going to factor out 3y. Make that a little bit thinner for us. So 3y, if we factor out 3y, we got 3y plus 1 equals 0. Well, use the zero product property. Then 3y equals 0, or 3y plus 1 equals 0. Well, in the first case, we divide by 3, y would be 0. In the second equation, we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. 3y equals negative 1. Divide by 3. Y is negative 1/3. So we have two solutions, negative 1/3 and 0. Let's take a look at another problem here. On example 3. What can we do there? Well, we can factor out 5a. So let's go ahead and factor that out right away. So I'm going to factor out 5a. So what's left over? Well, that'll be a minus 4 then, isn't it? Equals 0. So in this case, 5a equals 0, or a minus 4 equals 0. In the first case, we divide by 5, a is 0. In the second case, we're going to add 4 to both sides. So a equals 4. So in other words, we have two solutions, a equals 0 or a equals 4. Both of these problems are kind of like when we graphed it, it would cross twice.